My name is Marcell Hanson, and you're listening to Small Habits, Big Changes. Let's dive in. Welcome. I was speaking with a fellow practitioner today, and we think along the same lines in that while I try not to consume a lot of social media, I do use it as a learning tool. And I find it really interesting as to how people are so isolated in their marketing towards one thing being what to do, whether it be exercising daily or whether it be eating clean, or whether it's taking this certain supplement beforehand, or whether it's getting a great night's sleep, or whether it's having a positive mindset, or whether it's the people you surround yourself with. It can be a little daunting if you have none of those things working optimally in your life to hear those messages. So today I want to boil it down and give you the single best thing that you can do for yourself, the betterment of your health and well-being, vitality, longevity, whatever it is you are shooting for, can give you a very sweet and simple formula to follow. Stick around. Now, while we're going to launch a full year of inviting special guests on pretty regularly, we're shooting for weekly. There will be gaps in that as we fill up our filming schedule with people that we feel are a fit for the listeners. This week, it's just me, and I want to touch on a very relatable thing in feeling overwhelmed by the messages that are coming out. Before it was billboards, maybe television advertisements, but now with social media, whether you're on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, any or all of the above, you're getting messages constantly, tens of thousands of messages, subliminally, redirected, retargeted, or just through your scrolling. You're coming across tens of thousands of messages a day. That in and of itself is the reason why I limit my online attention span to just a few minutes. I just use those as a very poignant teaching moment to go through and see what I can see and pick out what I can pick out that may be pertinent to a topic or a subject that I'm getting questions asked on. So, as I mentioned, overwhelm is really a very common thing that I think a lot of people go through as far as what to do when they have a goal in mind. What do I do first? How do I know how much to do, when to do, what to do, whether it's moving, whether it's around movement or sleep or hydration or eating well or working out or studying, reading. What do I read? When do I read? There's one really simple way that you can know what's right for you. And I'm going to share it in just a minute. What I'm seeing and what has stemmed from this epidemic and from this globalization of attention being drawn towards social media, I see a lot of overwhelm, a lot of maybe analysis paralysis, many people not being able to do anything to better themselves because there's so many things out there they could be doing. I've said, and I've heard it said many times, is that if it's easy to do, it's easy to not do. And that's where I implore each and every one of you to not fall into the trap of apathy or frustration or overwhelm. It's really simple. This process I'm going to tell you, it applies to everyone. Of course, everyone's result will be different, but the process applies to everyone. Take a deep breath. Don't be afraid. Take another deep breath and ask yourself, what do I want? And if material things pop up like a new car, a 30-foot sailboat, that pair of shoes I've been looking at, or a certain watch, take another breath and ask again, what do I really want right now, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, for the rest of my life? What do I want? And when superficial things come up, when materialistic things come up, things that come and go and that you can't take with you or truly quantify any level of happiness or fulfillment, let them go. It's another exercise to write those down. Take another deep breath If you want to, close your eyes, not if you're driving or running, but if you're sitting still, listening to this in a safe place, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, what do I really want? Now, when you start to get answers that sound something in the vein of, I want to be pain-free, I want to be steady on my feet, I want to have vibrant energy in the morning all throughout the day, I want to be able to give my kids or grandkids a piggyback ride without getting tired. I want to be able to hike with them on my shoulders and feel great afterwards. I want to be able to move my body, whatever, kayak a certain distance, run a certain distance, walk a certain frequency daily. I want to walk every morning when the sun rises or when the sun sets, with someone, without someone. Doesn't matter. What do you want for you and your body and your soul, your spirit, your livelihood? What do you want? And when you can get still and ask yourself that question and get an authentic answer, then the next part is really simple. Take another breath. Now hold in your mind what it is you finally came to about what you wanted, and ask yourself, and what would that look like? Now be detailed. We're not getting into the how. We're saying, what does that look like? If you say you want to wake up with energy each and every day, or you want to be able to, pick your kid up and throw them on your shoulders and be able to take an hour hike without being debilitated the next day, what does it really look like? What does it feel like when you get up? Are you getting up to an alarm? What does that look like? Feel what it looks like. When you close your eyes, are you stretching in bed? Is the sunlight coming in? Are you in a dark, cool room without an alarm? Are you just waking up naturally? What does it look like? The experience, does it look like in your mind? And how does it feel in your body? Your skin feels supple. Everything feels ready to work. All the muscles are alert. And focus on your breath and really try to embody the feeling that you would have when experiencing the experience that you said you wanted in the first question. So first, you ask yourself what you want what do I want, until you get an authentic answer. Secondly, you ask yourself, what would that feel like? And if you don't know, because you haven't experienced it, now's your chance to extrapolate from life experience. Other times where things felt good, positive, where they felt energetic. What did that feel like in your body? And apply those experiences here. Envision, close your eyes, really imagine what that's like. So now you know what you want. You know what it feels like. You don't need to know how it's going to happen. You need to hold those two things in your mind and preferably write them down once, twice, 3 times a day. I wake up each morning vibrant, feeling great and energetic. I'm able to go on an hour-long hike with kids in tow and feel great. I love walking each and every morning with the sunrise. Whatever is the truth for you, write it down as if it's happening, because in your mind it is. You're embracing a new reality. So it starts here. And the third thing, this is individual for everyone, but first, again, you're asking, what do I want? The second thing is, what does that feel like? Okay, embody that. And the third thing, keep breathing. Today, take one step in the direction of that manifestation. So if it is, I get up each morning feeling great, energetic, ready to take on my day, you fill in the blank, whatever your second statement, your first statement is, then take an action step that would help facilitate that would move in that direction, whether it's going to bed a little bit earlier than what you currently do in the 9 o'clock hour, whether it is going to the big box store and buying some blackouts, whether it's making sure you close your blind, whether it's cooling your room off by opening the window before you go to bed, whether it's setting the stage. In one way or another, you decide, just take a step in that direction. That's it. 1, 2, 3. What do I want? What does it feel like? I'm going to do one thing today that's going to be like a one step toward that goal. This is about gradients. It really is about doing things in smaller gradients, baby steps, as some people say, because we learn to walk before we run. in most instances. We learn to run before we climb, before we do something that's of a greater progression of difficulty. Start out with these steps, and it will feel awkward because you have not been doing them, and that's okay. But start, and each day continue. Continue to ask yourself, what do I want? Continue to ask yourself, what does that feel like? Continue. I'm a huge proponent of writing it down multiple times a day, minimum twice a day. And lastly, one thing, take action on one thing that will get you closer to that. And if you focus on number 1 and number 2, number 3 will come to you. If you're saying, okay, I know what I want, I know what it feels like, but I don't know what to do to get me there, keep breathing and go deeper into that focus. What is it you truly want? What is it? Ask yourself, what is it I truly want? How would that feel in my body? That's a real experience. Lock it in. And number 3 will come to you each and every day. Some days there will be 2 or 3 things that you could do that will get you that much closer. And soon you will be experiencing that. Now, depending on where your life is right now, it could take a long time relative to when you would like it to happen. I know if you want something and you believe you feel within yourself, you understand what it would feel like. You want it right now, that feeling. Well, hold on to the feeling within you. And as time passes and steps are taken towards that direction and that realization, it will come to be. Don't quit. If it's something you really want, stick with it. It's worth it. It can take a long time. I was in a motorcycle accident. It was 30 years ago. Just a couple of weeks ago, I passed the 30-year day. I just happened to be a weirdo about dates and they stick in my head. So July 14th passed and it's been 30 years. And I went through physical therapy. I broke 3 toes. I was very lucky. It was a wonderful accident that happened, changed the trajectory of my life. And I'm forever grateful for that. And that all I had was 3 broken toes from it. But for years afterwards, those 3 broken toes hampered me because the surgeon was, less than stellar, their job. So for years and years, my balance on that side was noticeably different to me. I think I've always been really steady on my feet, somewhat athletic, and gotten more and more athletic and stronger as I've gotten older. But even about 10 years ago, I noticed that, with the trainer, there would definitely be some wobbles there. I was missing the gripping strength of at least the 2 smaller toes, and definitely my big toe that I shattered was impacted. So like over 50% of the one foot that had this injury really was struggling to grip in the same way. All the tendons had been really destroyed on the 2 smaller toes. It had really just been ripped off. So the tendons and everything had never truly been utilized in the same way, even though I'm very active, played tons of sports since then in the last 30 years and have worked out with a trainer for 14 years now. I still noticed a difference. It was a couple years ago that I really wanted to make a greater impact on that balance and to really bring myself to a place of equilibrium. And honestly, my sides are very, very well balanced at this point. But about 2-3 years ago, I shifted solely to barefoot technology. So a wider toe box, giving my toes a little more room to be independent. And I've used toe spacers and various socks, toe socks and toe spreading socks. And they were really difficult to wear on this foot to start with because 2 of the toes that were broken were sewn together kind of poorly. And they really kind of always stayed together. They just never truly healed. I always had a hard time when I had a mani-pedi, like a pedicurist. I'd be like just kind of cringing because she'd want to pull them apart, clean up the cuticles or trim my toenails. And at the my massage therapist, we still talk pretty regularly about how much my feet have changed in just the last year and a half that I've been going to this particular massage therapist. And I wouldn't say squeamish, but on the verge of squeamish because it really wasn't very comfortable to have them separated. They really were sewn together and kind of healed together. They weren't attached. It's not like they were webbed, but they really didn't do anything independent. And after a couple years of only barefoot technology, a lot of grounding, a lot of barefoot training. So coming out of a gym and now training at home, I can train barefoot. I wouldn't do that in a gym necessarily. So it's been really beneficial to me. And using the toe spacers and even doing some pointed exercises on massaging the tendons in my foot. And I have foot reflexology massage for 90 minutes every week. And that makes a big difference too. And I have noticed such a massive transformation. I literally can spread those toes apart. That has not happened in 30 years. I literally feel zero squeamishness, no hesitation. I can't even really tell when she separates them and, has like a hot towel that she rubs between them and tools and oil that's rubbed. Absolutely no hesitation whatsoever. I can't really feel the difference between either of my feet at this point. And to be honest, to me, having lived 25, 26 years since the accident, not really being super aggressive, being conscientious about what I was doing and trying to train in that method, but not really taking that much needed step until a few years ago. I just followed the trajectory. There was other things I was focused on. It wasn't that I didn't want it. I always have wanted to be very well balanced with both my left and right side. Mobility is a big part of my life. Flexibility, being able to lift and move and jump and stretch and do the things that I want to do that allow me to do all the things outside the house, whether it's work or play or sport, is important to me. So it's always been an intention and something I've held the vision for. But honestly, until a few years ago, I could not put anything between my toes. I've never worn like flip-flop thongs like that. Never would have been able to do toe socks. I certainly wouldn't have ever been able to do the Vibram like 5-finger toe shoes, which now I can do. Things happen at their own pace, and 30 years sounds like a long time, but I have like another 100 to go. So I'm so stoked. I gave myself 5 years to be able to like independently move my toes like my fingers. And I spend a lot of time in bare feet, a lot more time in bare feet now than I was. And I still have 3 full years left on that 5-year journey. So I feel like I'm right on track. And honestly, the technology itself was not as widely available. Now you can get barefoot technology shoes almost anywhere, right? These are 0 drop. These are wide toe boxes, minimal structure, allowing your foot to be in its natural state. Some of them have grounding strips in them, but they come in a variety of colors and styles and even waterproof ones. So there's really no excuse at this point, except that the masses believe that a narrow toe box is more attractive. 60% of deaths are preceded by falls. Think about that. 60% of deaths in elderly are preceded, and we're talking like over 60, are preceded by a fall, usually within about 6 months. And that fall and the lack of stability is predicated on your ability to ground, connect with the earth, to be in balance, to have your left and right side be as close to one another as possible, to have that grip strength in your feet. And I was certainly as guilty of this for the first 40 years of my life, thinking that and really feeling that narrow toe boxes are more attractive. They look better, and I have small feet, so I could easily pull off a bigger shoe. But certainly with people with bigger feet, certainly women with bigger feet are wanting something that maybe narrows their foot in general, not everyone. And so that's what you find in the marketplace, almost 100% that way until very recently, maybe 5 years ago. It's shifted a lot more towards 80-20. So you have to look for a bigger toe box. You have to look for a wider toe box. But it is so necessary. Having your toes crammed into a narrow shoe will be the detriment of you in more instances than not. This will be the cause for the slip, the fall, the trip, the broken wrist, the broken hip, the broken neck, Falls are deadly, and they are, in most cases, very preventable. The way they are preventable is not by having a better walker or a 4-pronged cane. Yes, if that's what you need at that point, work to rehabilitate to get yourself to a point of stabilization within your 2 natural feet. And if you're not at the point where you have a walker or a cane or anything else that's assisting you, start now. If you are 30, if you are 40, if you are 50, 60, start now. If you're in your 20s and you hear this, wear a wider toe box. Get some 0-drop shoes. It will likely be the best thing that you have ever done for yourself. Take care of your teeth. Take care of your feet. These are 2 crucial rules to live by. And so that's just one way that I set an intention. I asked myself what I wanted. I knew that I wanted stabilization and equilibrium between my sides. I asked myself what that would feel like, and I only could imagine because since the accident, I obviously favored to a very small degree one side over the other. But I can imagine being steady on my feet. I can feel what it feels like in my body and my core, even if I'm not, and my feet aren't touching the ground right now. I can still feel it. I can feel rooted. I can feel connected to the earth. And that feels safe and sound and secure and stable. That's what I wanted. That's what I visualized. And I grew the strength necessary in the rest of my body before I ended up focusing on my feet. And now I can work from my feet up. I worked my way down and now I'm working my way back up. But my feet are more stable and stronger and more flexible than they've ever been. How I did it was through that very simple 3-step process. Ask myself what I wanted, ask myself how it would feel. And then I sat and got clear about one thing I could do each and every day. And I did. I've done a myriad of things. I've probably done 100 different things over that 30 years, but it took the 97th and the 98th and the 99th and the 100th thing to make the most impact. That doesn't make those first 96 steps along the way superfluous. They were necessary. I needed those to get me to the point where I could be today. And I know that for you, wherever you are on your journey, whatever it is that you want to experience, you can have it. Maybe not today, maybe not next week, hopefully within 30 years. But if in 30 years you have it, you'll have it for the rest of your life because it's much easier to maintain once you have. So I hope this was of value to you. These 3 simple steps really can apply to so many things when it comes to health and wellness and mindset. I wish that for you, for each and every one of you. Next week, we have a very special guest, and I think you'll want to come back and check it out. If you have struggled with getting up in the morning, with feeling great, with getting your mindset right off the bat, you're going to want to tune in to next week. We have a guest that's going to talk at depth about how she developed an app that helps you do just that. I wish you a very blessed week. I hope you come back to listen again. And if you like this episode, share it with a friend because they very well may enjoy it as well. Thanks so much. Blessings. Thank you so much for listening today. If you feel any part of this episode resonated with you, then please consider sharing it with a friend who may also find value in it. And remember to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And before you go, did you know we have a fantastic free text community? If you want more bite-sized health hacks and reminders delivered directly to your phone, absolutely free, then text keyword YES to 206-483-2960. Again, that's keyword YES to 206-483-2960. And we'll see you on the inside.